Immersive sims are dead. At least, that's what big studios would have you believe. Yeah, the recent news about layoffs here and canceled projects there are not doing a whole lot to dissuade that notion. In this day and age, finding a good box stacker takes the seeker farther afield, deep beneath the surface of game-dead Schwitter or the murky mires of Steam. Celebrated favorites like Thief and Deus Ex, or even the creaky old Ultima Underworld, have glued gamer eyeballs to PC screens since way back in the early 1990s.
Oh God, Daddy!
What a shame.
He can't really be... There must be something we can do.
But in recent times, we've seen an influx of indie games that aim to recapture the box stacking, vent cracking, keypad hacking freedom of these ancient favorites. That's what we're going to be taking a look at today. We're going to be concentrating on upcoming imsims from small developers. Some of these are being made by only 1 or 2 people. We're going to be leaving out some of the more internet famous games. If you clicked on this video, you probably already know what Gloomwood is. Also note that these games are in various stages of development, so you might see a lot of rough edges. So come, squint past the jank with us, and I'm willing to bet you'll see a lot of promise in each one of these upcoming titles. And as always, if you want to add your name to the list of fine adventurers sitting around our heroes table, we'll share some ways you can support us near the end. My name is Boss Sauce.
And I'm Rollinkins. And together, we are the Two-Headed Hero.
We begin with a brand new demo for Monomyth, a first-person dungeon crawler from developer Rat Tower. Monomyth is an unabashed love letter to Ultima Underworld, the 1992 role-playing game most attributed as being the starting point of the immersive sim design philosophy. We have comfortable role-playing trappings, experience points, leveling up, a good old-fashioned grid inventory, and an old-school character generator, complete with some really awesome dad mode selfie portraits. Monomyth takes all of this a step further by adding an excellent amount of body control. Scurry around over ledges, play peekaboo around corners with some lizardmen, chuck just about any piece of furniture that isn't nailed down. Locked door, cut it down, or blow it up. Or jump on a few crates and find another way around. Or maybe kick one of those crates into your own face and knock yourself out. The possibilities are vast. So much stuff can be smashed, thrown, or set ablaze, and these little environmental touches really put the whole experience over the top. Combat also carries a better weight and cadence than in previous demos. You're going to be pummeling the game's various rats, slimes, and savages with your blades and your bludgeons, and who can be mad at a game where you can deploy the mighty boot? And although we don't get to see much of it here, there's also an intricate spell system based on casting runes in certain orders. Although you have a ton of tools, this is not an easy game by any means. You're going to die, and you're going to die a lot, only to be saved by these shiny little shrines, which double as your level up stations once you have enough XP to spend. And if you find some gold to cash in, well, you're in luck. NPCs have been added to the game, complete with in-depth keyword conversations, just like the adventure game Old Guard used to make. Monomyth is shaping into a monumental one-man effort, far improved over the rudimentary demo that I found on Kickstarter way back in 2021. If you're an old-school dungeon dweller looking for a new home, you're sure to find one here. Step out of the dungeons and into the city streets of a steampunk society in the pre-alpha of Malagard, a steam and swordplay adventure from Riskmaster Studios. Take on the role of the title character, a swashbuckling alchemist who's after his stolen inheritance. Malagard contains a unique social system, sort of like Hitman, that has you spending as much time slipping into polite society as getting in trouble in shady back alleys, and a silver tongue can often serve you just as well as a sharp sword. Since there's so many sequences that involve flapping your face hole, it's fortunate that the voice acting is far better than half decent.
I could really use your help.
Is that so? Whatever with.
And the graphics take a tone from the early 3D adventure games of the late 90s. Unfortunately, a lot of the controls and gameplay also take cues from the clumsy, keyboard-spanning control schemes of the same era. Still, the choices presented to the player are vast. Malagard can craft potions and tools to help himself into hard-to-reach places, and help himself out of trouble. And there's some fun to be had whipping potions at the various thugs and ruffians that lie in your path. Although the experience is still a bit rough, most of the problems have a wide range of solutions. The silly physics and janky swordplay bring to mind sweet memories of PiranhaBytes games from the past. Malagard looks to be a right spiffing adventure for lords and ladies looking to relive a very specific moment in PC gaming.
Good day.
I say, good day to you too.
Sometimes the city streets and dungeon corridors just get too claustrophobic and you need a little space. Or maybe you need a lot of space. Lonely Space puts you out in that inky black void while sticking you inside the claustrophobic steel hallways of a space station. Do it have box stack? Check. Do it have vent crawl? Yeah. Stealth? Of course. Hacking? Sure. Do it have a 451 reference? Oh, you know it. The intro sequence of the game basically consists of wrestling with a bunch of car-sized door energy elements that function as keys to lead you deeper into the station. Your unfortunate spaceman lands in a trap and gets messily devoured by gooey cosmic horrors, and you wake up to the grating text-to-speech southern drawl of Dr. Clark as you reorient yourself inside of some kind of healing chamber.
I recreated your body and consciousness. Look around, you can take whatever you need. But hurry, we have a lot of things to do.
Here you'll notice that the pod has a detailed RPG stat screen where you'll be able to alter your character's DNA. The rest of the demo is spent trying to evade surprisingly tough and agile mutants while attempting to restore power to the station and regain control. It was really hard to get away from these guys. The first time you see them leaping over boxes to chase you down is enough to make you soil your spacesuit. But you're not completely defenseless. You have a sturdy piece of conduit to bonk them over the heads with, and a neat little psychic push move to make a little more, space between you and the voracious monstrosities that want to open up your space helmet like a can of cat food to harvest the meaty goodness inside. So you're going to be dying, a lot, but each time Dr. Clark will reconstitute your frail astronaut body in the chamber so that you're ready for another run. My biggest complaint right now is probably the audio. Much of it is unbalanced or just plain awful, like the use of text-to-speech for the voiceovers.
I'll wait for someone to rescue me.
Here's hoping that the dev will hire some voice talent before the game gets released. And HG Games, if you're watching, get at me. I'd be happy to do some. But in the grand scheme of things, even these current complaints seem small. There's no denying the massive ambition on display here. Save a little space in your backlog for Lonely Space. If you prefer your horror to be supernatural rather than cosmic, well, we have Beyond Hanwell from Steel Arts Software Limited. Although this appears to be a pure horror title at first glance, this game was tagged as an immersive sim on Steam, and, well, we all know how useful Steam tags tend to be. Beyond Hanwell plops you into the depths of a dirty basement, and before long you'll find that your hapless hero is trapped inside some kind of hospital. Some nasty occult experiments have been taking place here, and there's an immediate implication that some of the patients have been used to feed some of the other patients.
People are hungry and people are dying, she says. This gives me an idea. Why can one of these issues not solve the other?
This short teaser was largely linear in design, with a flashlight that eats batteries faster than Pac-Man on a pill spree, plenty of cheap jump scares, blood-curdling boss fight encounters, and puzzles that feel more in line with a Resident Evil entry. Still, there's a few elements that elevate Hanwell over the standard spooky game fare. Fighting off the mangled mutants and terrifying specters is done mostly with hand weapons, which gives the battles more of a condemned criminal origins feel. Your hero can only hold one weapon at a time, but the one you pick has alternative uses. For example, the crowbar can remove these planks that are in the way and open up some alternate routes. Weapons also lose durability, which is shown by how rusty and bloody they become over time. When your weapon is totally toast, you can always fall back on the mighty boot, which can also be used to quickly open a door if you're in a hurry. As you make your way through the facility, you'll piece together fragments of the story left by audio logs and emails in a typical ImSim fashion. The climax of the demo shows a bit of the research facility below the hospital and serves as a bit of a monster menagerie to preview what lies ahead of you on your journey beyond Hanwell. It remains to be seen how much immersive sim will even be in this spooky recipe, but the gorgeous presentation definitely makes this one worth sticking around the waiting room. Continuing the theme of games where you can kick guys, we have Corpus Edax. This is another indie ImSim with a one-man development team, Luis C. Bento, and it's one of the most ambitious projects in this list. This game aims to be a martial arts ImSim that mixes in heavy narrative RPG elements. Taking place in the dystopian cyberpunk city of the same name, Corpus Edax places the player in the fighting boots of a frozen colonist, where you'll be creating your character as you see fit, on this in-depth stat screen. After thawing out and acclimating to your new role as a corporate lackey, your dreams are invaded by Jackson, a member of the resistance movement who aims to topple the city's corporatocracy, and you'll be tasked to deliver a hit list to one of the movement's last remaining members. Since guns are outlawed on Corpus Edax, you'll be relegated to fighting with pipes, shivs, bottles, basically anything you can get your little hands on. You also have a variety of punches and kicks to knock about anybody that looks at you sideways, and enemies react with their own counters and combos. Sneaking up and bonking a guard over the head is just as satisfying as launching them with a jump kick, and moving around during a fight can be fast and fun due to vaulting and climbing mechanics. When you're not battling in the streets, you'll be chatting up the rundown citizens of the city using a fairly in-depth dialogue tree system that even includes occasional skill checks. The hacking, lockpicking, and sneaky vent crawling is all here too, and success in these endeavors depends heavily on your character stats. There's still some goofiness with some of these immersive systems. For example, you actually have to have a health hypo in your hand, look down at your character's body, and then stab yourself in order to use it. Really neat idea if a bit unwieldy. Corpus Edax is one dystopia I've been looking forward to visiting for a long time, and I can't wait to see it in action once some of the rough edges have been sanded down. If you're craving more man-kicking action but want something with a brighter tone, take a leap into the world of Sorceress. This fast and frantic immersive sim is filled with magic, mystery, and enough big, colorful castles to make Princess Peach turn red with jealousy. We brought this one up in a past video before, but I'm gonna mention it again. With the Kickstarter campaign now successfully funded, Sorceress has continued to show off improvement over improvement. Rather than bullets or magic spells, the titular sorceress uses a variety of arcane equipment that can serve as both weapons and tools in your fight against a legion of puppet men. For example, the bubble gun can float items to solve puzzles, increase your mobility, or take an enemy right out of the fight for a little while. In addition to the neat magic gadgets and a savage front kick, you'll be using a variety of disposable weapons as well, and this isn't limited to a run-of-the-mill medieval arsenal. Watering cans, mops, and really big Kingdom Hearts keys are just a few of the tools you can use to pound on all these Pinocchios. It's also hard to overstate the amount of cool environment interactions that Sorceress offers up. Light your arrows or even doors ablaze, kick dummies off of ledges and into spikes, jump from chain to chain in a clockwork tower. It's all great stuff. Based on the abundance of dangerous traps in every combat arena, it's pretty safe to say that Sorceress takes a lot of direct cues from the brutal orc punting action of Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, and that's definitely a high bar to clear. But there's enough violence in the world as it is, right? What if you don't want to kick, stab, or shoot anything? Welcome to Fragmented City, a completely non-lethal and combat-free exploration adventure from Matej Probelski and Crowbar. Now, the ImSim status of this one is also up in the air due to the whole Steam tag fiasco I mentioned earlier, but a few key features make me think that this game might just qualify for the label. In Fragmented City, you play as an anthropomorphic bird person in a low polyurban neighborhood. Being new to the area, it's up to you to find odd jobs or other clever methods to pay your rent and make your way. This sort of makes the game feel like a breaking and entering simulator with some quests and conversations sprinkled in, even resulting in a few branching paths and choices that affect the in-game morality system. Although there's nothing in the way of box stacking and physics, there's plenty of interactables, vents to crawl through, and unfamiliar areas to find your way into. Throughout your exploits, your bird person will encounter a ton of creepy graffiti and poster references to the followers of the Fragmentation, which appear to be either some sort of doomsday cult or a group that's accidentally stumbled upon a secret path to cosmic ascendancy, depending on who you ask. Those that turn from the path of fragmentation end up looking like, well, spare parts. But the ones that follow this dangerous road all the way to the end may suffer a far more terrifying fate. While the first hub area is fairly small, there's a lot to unpack here, and players that want to pack rat a ton of collectibles without the pressure and fear of combat looming over their shoulders will probably enjoy the laid-back approach that Fragmented City presents. And with that, we're back where we started, in the dark depths of a fantasy dungeon. Sort of. Never Looted Dungeon, from French solo dev Wild Mage Games, is a light-hearted dungeon-crawling imsim with a big focus on the just one more try gameplay philosophy. So what's the hook? Well, there's a dungeon, it's never been looted, so as an adventurer, it's time to get up in there and plunder. Unlike the darker tone we see in Monomyth, this game is filled with quirky environmental humor right out of Looney Tunes. Big neon signs point the way to the dungeon entrance. Silly notes from past adventurers give the game an entirely tongue-in-cheek tone. Potions come from soda machines. I guess there's no escaping the clammy grasp of capitalism even in the depths of this trap-ridden crypt. The game's mirth belies a devious death trap filled with man-eating rats, spike pits, false floors, and tons of loot. Dying is permanent, however your next character just wakes up naked at the last campsite you visited, armed with the knowledge of whatever killed you so that you can run back to your body and try and regain your equipment. Since the previous demo, combat and movement has been improved considerably. It's much easier to get into the rhythm of dodging, blocking, and striking. Climbing all over these dungeon brownstones feels a lot more responsive. And yes, this is another game where you can plant your size 12s into a monster's face. Never Looted Dungeon takes all the ingredients of a traditional sim and turns it into an exercise in corpse runs, and I'm looking forward to giving it just one more run, over and over again. Now, I got to spend some time with 2 more indie sims this week, but for a couple reasons I'll explain in a second, I can't show any of my gameplay just yet, so enjoy some trailer footage while I talk over it, I guess. Recently, I was invited to try out a pre-alpha of Athanasia, which is a $20 word that means without death, or immortal, basically. This game takes place in a mysterious dinosaur-filled facility in South America where something has gone terribly wrong, and you play the role of a good doctor that decides to go in and figure out what happened. Think System Shock 2 meets, well, Jurassic Park. Athanasia mires itself deeply in mid-90s DOS-style presentation, and it emphasizes stealth, environment interaction, and combining scavenged loot in creative ways in order to trap and avoid the various beasties running rampant through its claustrophobic hallways. Unfortunately, this game is fairly under wraps for the time being. After speaking with the dev, they feel that the alpha just isn't quite where they want it to be in order to reveal it to the public just yet, so a full review is going to have to wait until we get the green light on that. Ad Infernum is a much different story. This tale of otherworldly dread is set in and around an abandoned gas station in the middle of the desert. This debut from Glass Knuckle Games leans into heavy survival horror overtones and features a complex sanity mechanic called the Nerve System that has wide-reaching random effects on the player as they bear witness to the game's terrifying moments. Aside from the spooky vibes, the game claims to have a variety of upgradable weapons, crafting, and a mysterious world filled with alternate routes and secrets for the player to discover. Plus, there's plenty of giant eyeballs to hit with a baseball bat. Ad Infernum is currently set to release at the end of February, but for this one we got a review key, so expect to see a full review hitting the tubes of you here once the embargo drops at the end of next week. So there we have it, a big pile of upcoming immersive sims from small developers. If you tried out any of these demos yourself, or if you feel like there's another box stacker and key panel hacker currently in development that deserves a spotlight, let us know down there in the comments. Or poop out some thoughts over on Twitter. If you want to join these fine folk in supporting us at the Heroes Table, our Patreon starts at a measly 2 doubloons per month, or shoot us a tip on our Ko-Fi page. If your pockets are emptier than the inside of this underwater coffin, that's okay. You can help us out by doing all the cool algorithm stuff. Once again, thanks for spending your time with us today, and we'll see you on the next Two-Headed Hero.
To disassemble you into atoms and reassemble again. Use this carefully. There is a small chance of side effects occurring.